Viewers, former US President Donald Trump, in a loaded Diwali message, has condemned the atrocities faced by Hindus in Bangladesh, especially after the fall of the Sheikh Hasina government. In his most scathing remark on the issue yet, Donald Trump took to social media platform X and vowed that he will protect Hindu Americans against anti-religion agenda of the radical left. He also lashed out at his rivals, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and accused them of ignoring Hindus across the world. Donald Trump also added that under his administration, the great partnership with India and his good friend Narendra Modi will strengthen further. Back home, the BJP and VHP are latching on to Trump's latest statement on the attack and atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh. Stepping up pressure on Team India, BJP is asking opposition to take a clear stand for persecuted Hindus. Leaders of the India bloc are likening Donald Trump to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and have called his comment a bit to polarize ahead of the elections. Other leaders of the India bloc are seeing a motive behind Trump's pro-Hindu outreach. Here's how the war of words is playing out.
अमेरिकन लीडर इस बात को एक्नॉलेज कर रहा है कि हाँ बांग्लादेश में जो कुछ हुआ है वो गंभीर था और वर्ल्ड लीडर्स जो है ना चुप्पी साध लेते हैं को उत्पीड़न नहीं माना जाता, ऐसी खबरों को छुपाया भी जाता है।
ट्रंप को अपना मुल्क संभालना चाहिए, उसको बांग्लादेश की फिक्र क्या पड़ी है। इस वक्त चुनाव वहाँ हो रहे हैं तो उसको भी मोदी जी की तरह बांग्लादेश याद आ गया।
साइजेबल वोटर हैं तो ट्रंप साहब भी बोल रहे हैं, इतने दिन बाद बोले ट्रंप साहब, पहले बोलते तो ट्रंप साहब की मजबूरियां हैं, ऐसे ही नहीं है।
And joining us now is, in fact, Utsav Sanduja. He's, in fact, the founder and chairman of Hindus for America First, and he has been in touch with former President Trump's office during the course of this campaign on the same issue. Utsav, thank you so much for joining us. Let me begin by asking you that yesterday, the statement that came in from former President of US Donald Trump, which he posted on social media X, highlighting the plight of Hindus in Bangladesh, and he said that I strongly condemn the barbaric violence against Hindus, Christians and other minorities who are getting attacked and looted by mobs in Bangladesh, which remains in a total state of chaos. You have thanked Trump for his statement, saying that this was months in the making. How did this come about? Did you meet with him? What can you tell us about this?
Yes, so President Trump deserves the full credit of the statement. He reflected on it. He thought about it. His staff briefed him. My role was very simply put, going back to August, when there was this chaos going on in Bangladesh, I was able to gather all my documents, all my briefings, put everything together. I did an in-depth, comprehensive study about the subject. I have contacts in Bangladesh and in Bharat, and as a journalist, that's what I do, that's my trade. I was able to put together a very comprehensive portfolio for these campaign staffers, and I suggested it to them. I pitched it to them. I explained to them the very significance, which was, the Hindu American community is very concerned about their compatriots in Bangladesh. They don't like what's going on in the subcontinent. And they were very persuaded. And it took a lot of time to basically get this moving because there were so many logistical issues, different campaign issues coming about. And, I'm very glad that President Trump decided to give the greatest Diwali present ever, which was the acknowledgement of these wonderful Hindus, acknowledgement of their suffering, acknowledgement of what they went through, and he feels our pain. He feels the pain of all of these Hindu Americans, 3 million and change, that are concerned about this issue. And he really, really loves us, and he's such a fantastic president.
Right. And let me also ask you, did you try and reach out to anyone from the current administration about this? And if you did, what kind of response did you receive?
So I'll be very frank with you. Prior to, my PAC, which is a political action committee, came about in October. I was just acting as an independent player, and I had just been listening to all of the Hindu American groups in the United States, and they all told me one after the other they attempted to reach to Kamala Harris, the current vice president who's running for president. They reached out to President Biden about this issue, and they didn't get any meetings. They didn't get any actual concrete, tangible, practical, just meetings that actually were of significance, material significance that led to anything.
Can you share with us which these groups were?
I'm going to keep it anonymous because they've asked me to, but there are a lot of well-known names. And you're more than welcome to speak to them. I can talk to you about that later. But a lot of these major Hindu American groups have reached out to the White House and told them about Bangladesh, and they were not at all interfaced with in any substantive level, and it frustrated them, a lot of them actually. And I noticed that, and it bothered me. And so I said, you know what, this is wrong. This has to go to somebody else. And that's when I thought, you know what, I think President Trump will listen to me, listen to the Hindu Americans that are suffering, and I think not listen to me, but rather the Hindu American community at large, because he's done a lot of great work. He's helped us. I mean, in the past, he recognized Hindu persecution in Bangladesh when he was president. Under Sheikh Hasina, there was also incidents that occurred there. He recognized persecution of Hindus in Pakistan and Afghanistan. In 2022, he pledged to build a Hindu Holocaust memorial. And so I brought this up to his team. They were very, very amendable, open-minded, and we developed a great relationship. And honestly, it just took a lot of time, but I got it done through all of this persistence. And I have to give full credit to President Trump for making the decision. And
you're giving him credit, but I'd like to understand from you, how do you think Trump's administration would have handled this issue of violence against Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh differently compared to the current administration?
So I don't think President Trump would have intervened in Bangladesh's internal affairs. We saw that with Kamala Harris, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, their administration. What they did was they sanctioned the RAB, which is really silly because, my country trained the RAB, which is their security forces that has taken care of a lot of bad actors. ISIS, one of them. The Treasury Department went after them very aggressively. The State Department went after the visas pertaining to Hasina's family. USCRF stuck its hand in the internal affairs of Bangladesh, criticizing it on all kinds of issues, on human rights, religious issues, democracy, so on and so forth. And they basically, embarrassed the Hasina government. They try to browbeat them, humiliate them, and shred their credibility, which, contributed to the slow discontent towards this government. They platformed a lot of opposition figures that were tied to Jamaat-e-Islami and the BNP. This is what Biden-Harris did. I don't think President Trump would have done any of that. He would have been focused on how to build relations between America and Bangladesh, how to get stronger trade ties, how to build a good economy, how to harness the garment industry of Bangladesh to the fullest. And I think President Trump would have also understood India's unique security situation where, Hasina, Prime Minister Hasina, who I thought was a very fantastic leader, essentially curtailed a lot of these separatists that were causing trouble in India's northeast. She was also dealing with a lot of Islamist groups that were giving a lot of problems to India. And I don't think President Trump would have been one to have stuck his hand into that, and he would have understood the importance of the Indo-US relationship.
Right. And what would you say to those who say that this is an election gimmick, considering that Indian or Hindu Americans form a substantial part of the electorate?
So people that think that way have no soul or heart, because Hindu Americans are human beings. They have issues. They have priorities, just like Muslim Americans, evangelical Americans, just like Jewish Americans. They all, these wonderful faiths, they all have their own issues and priorities. The Muslim community talks about Gaza, which I respect. The evangelicals are constantly talking about, what's going on in Latin America and how people are facing all kinds of problems with, about migration and so on. Jewish communities talking about what's going on in Israel. It's tough right now. So the Hindu community is also very concerned about what's going on in Bangladesh, and their numbers are dropping and dropping and dropping. So no, President Trump is acting like a very, I would say, an honorable, decent leader who is reaching out to all faith communities. He's reaching out to the Dharmic faiths too, which I thought was very, very wonderful and fantastic. This shows the president is very inclusive. He cares. He has a great heart. And we know that given his record, he's always stood up for the Hindu community.
Right. And you've also pointed out earlier that Kamala Harris's apparent distancing from a Hindu heritage while promoting, quote-unquote, radical woke policies, including sharing a post criticizing her Diwali message for lacking any mention of Hinduism or Hindus. However, according to Pew Research, 61% of Hindu American voters currently align with the Democrats. Do you think that this trend might shift in the upcoming election?
Well, the thing that's fascinating is that support amongst the Indian American community for a Democrat presidential candidate has dropped every single cycle. So it used to be 80% under Obama. Now it's gone to about 60-some percent. I think 60 itself. And the reason why I bring up Indian Americans is because 2/3 of Indian Americans are of the Hindu faith, according to a 2023 Pew Research report. And it's much more easier to reference based on race because of the way the statistics are provided in many of these reports. Though we focus on the Hindus because we want to be reaching out to all races, not just Indian Americans. But that said, just for simplicity purposes for the program, we are noticing that Hindus and Indian Americans are starting to become more favorable to the Republican Party because they have very strong conservative values. They support the family, the nuclear family. They support merit-based systems. They don't like quotas, like we see, unfortunately, in other countries in the world. I don't want to list them. But America is starting to get into that kind of mindset. And it's angering the Indian American community who escaped the old world for the new one, and they wanted to pursue these merit-based opportunities. They want that in the workplace. They want that in the immigration system. And they're starting to see that the far left is pushing for preferences based on your skin tone. And this is just obnoxious. This is just insane because Indian Americans are one of the most smartest folks in the country. Very well-educated folks, and they didn't come here looking for handouts. They came here looking to prove their raw talent.
Right. And what role do you think that the US-India partnership, as emphasized by Trump, could play in mitigating the violence against Hindus in Bangladesh and supporting the affected communities if a Trump government comes into place?
So I have had the wonderful opportunity to speak to some of the prospective folks that might join the Trump administration. I'm just purely speculating here. And I've gotten to know them for quite some time. And I'm learning from them that they would love to see India's right to a safe neighborhood respected. They empathize that, India's got some strategic concerns, especially in the chicken neck. India's got some real concerns with China. And India's got a real problem with a lot of these rebels running around, screwing up the relations between Cookies and Métis. And it's not good. It's just fundamentally not good. There's a long history of India's Northeast being messed up with groups running in and out through Bangladesh. And the fact of the matter is that if America is going to build a great relationship between itself and India in an effort to counter China's rise, which is a common problem for India and the United States, and God knows how long this deal between India and China is going to last on the line of actual control. Personally, I don't have much faith in the Chinese government.
Right.
Maybe Jay Shankar knows something I don't know. I mean, God bless him. I hope he succeeds. I only wish the best for him.
Okay.
But I just think that the Trump administration will be, looking at that Indo-U.S. relationship and how to address India's concerns so that they can be more of an effective actor in containing this Chinese aggression. And I think in the last government, President Trump really did a banged-up job in looking after those concerns.
Right.
And he gave great satellite
Let me
technology.
also ask you, if I can also ask you, what specific policies do you believe that Trump would implement to protect Hindu Americans from what he describes as the anti-religion agenda of the radical left?
So President Trump, he absolutely believes in religious liberties. He's open to, from what I heard from folks that are within his I don't want to say his brain trust. That's not the right term, but people who are around him. That's what I know. They mention things like giving some kind of legal protections for Hindu Americans, better reporting on hate crimes, strengthening the power of law enforcement to go after criminality that targets the Hindu community. I just gave a full comprehensive briefing to a past Trump National Director of Intelligence about the BAP's Swaminarayan Mandirs that have been brutally attacked. And it's horrendous that it even happened in the first place. This gentleman has been very amendable in wanting to be a problem solver and will relay these issues to President Trump. I do also know that there are folks in the national security community that were part of Trump's government and the National Security Council that are concerned with foreign actors in America, some connected to Pakistan, some connected to China, that seek to cause mayhem and mischief in the Indian American community. There's this growing concern about Khalistani terrorism and violence. And there's a lot of sympathetic voices that I'm hearing from people around President Trump that might be open to actually helping these Hindu Americans like myself who have faced this discrimination from Khalistanis.
Well, it's very interesting because, the role of the United States government then comes under question because, even those such as Sheikh Hasina have alleged that the United States has had a role in efforts to remove her from power because there are many who have been speculating whether the administration could have had a direct role in those protests. And also, of course, in the past, we've seen the Trump government crack down on immigration, making a more stringent rule book of restrictions. And in such a precedent, will the U.S. government be actually be in a position to provide asylum for persecuted Hindus such as these?
Honestly, I have to give full credit to Amit Shah, Prime Minister Modi. When I think about Bharat, I think of it as the last place for Hindus to go to. It's the last place for them to go to. It's like the Israel for Jewish people, basically. I think Bharat's role should be, in my opinion, I'm not one to tell anyone what to do or think, but I just think Bharat might be the better country for Hindus to go to when they're fleeing persecution. The United States, on the other hand, the folks there, they're very concerned about this mass migration problem. There's a lot of folks coming in, they don't fit in, they don't agree with all the values and mindsets. There's a problem with integration, accommodating, people who, basically can't exactly get along with other folks. There's an issue about infrastructure, healthcare, management. So I don't know if America would be, in that kind of position. So I think we also have to get control of our southern border. It is a big problem. Getting this opioid crisis is a long-running problem. In fentanyl, youth are dying. It's not a good thing. Americans are sick of this stuff. They want real immigration control, just like Bharat has done very well with Bangladesh in sealing up their border. And I understand where it is.
We'll have to leave it there. Utsav Sanduja, I'd like to thank you so much. Thank you for joining us and sharing with us your experiences when it came to President Trump and his team as well. And of course, what your expectations are if there is a Trump regime that would come up in the United States, as we'll get to know later this month. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.